Hi everybody, I'm Lacy Shane and I am the owner and designer at ReviveAmor. And today is our first episode of the history of vintage jewelry. And if you don't already know, you're gonna have to excuse my voice a little bit. I had surgery, I had my thyroid removed last week and my voice sometimes goes in and out. So I'm gonna do the best I can today with this first episode of the history of vintage jewelry. I've had ReviveAmor for a couple of years now. And thanks for the heart that just floated by. I'm not sure who that was, but I appreciate it. And I developed the company for a number of reasons. Number one, I really like the idea of repurposing and upstyling. And there's so many pieces of vintage jewelry, like brooches, for instance, that I'm particularly interested in that we don't really see people wearing a lot of these days, but it's beautiful, beautiful jewelry. So I repurposed that into updated, stunning modern settings. And I'm really pleased with the following and the customer base I've been able to get. And a lot of my customers love vintage jewelry and the story it tells. That's the other part of it that I love, is that vintage jewelry has a story to tell. Starting back with some of the decades I'm going to be talking about, it's really well made. And although it doesn't always withstand a beating like current day jewelry because it's old, it actually was oftentimes made better. If you look at a copy of Vogue or Elle or InStyle, you often see pictures of styled jewelry with current day outfits that have been pulled right out of vintage and historical designs, or at least have a new take on them. So I'm very passionate about that, and now a lot of my customers are too, and they have asked that I start to share certain types of information about different pieces of jewelry and different types of jewelry. So I thought I would just do that right on my page so that people don't have to go anywhere and you don't have to show up anywhere. You can just kind of log on to the ReviveAmor page and check out a topic you're interested in. So today we're going to be talking about vintage rings, the 40s through the 80s. I do have one ring I want to share with you that's actually from Edwardian times that I'm very excited, and there's a few outside that category at the end that I'll share with you. But let's go ahead and get started, and let me just say that it's wonderful when you can wear something that is in style and have it have a piece of history that you're wearing. So in fact, let me just share with you real quick what I'm wearing right now. Oh, I have my assistant here, Dean, and he tells me Tanaya is on. Thanks for watching, Tanaya. It's good to see you. I have this ring on, and this is an interesting ring. This stone and the setting of this ring are actually Victorian, but it's been set in a more current day and not as a high quality as Victorian times shank or setting or ring. And I knew that when I bought it. I went ahead and bought it because it's beautiful and it was very inexpensive, but I can tell that this is an old stone that's been put into a newer setting. And that's something to watch out for. When you buy vintage jewelry, buy from a reputable, experienced dealer, because this particular individual that sold this to me on eBay said it was vintage. I could tell it wasn't, or that only pieces of it were. I still love it. Like I said, it was inexpensive, but just watch out for that. I'm always glad to answer any questions that I might know about. This ring that I'm wearing is a cameo ring. It's copper. It's beautiful. This is actually Victorian. A friend of mine gave this to me out of her mother's collection. A very, very sweet gift that I was given. Actually, I'm going to take these off because I'm going to model the new rings for you. But those are some of my personal collection that I like to wear every day. And you'll see me wearing, I'm wearing a cuff here and some vintage earrings that I've turned into dangles. So really high quality stuff that has a place in today's fashion world. So I'm going to start with the 40s. So there's some interesting things to note about the 40s as far as jewelry. I have mainly rings from Germany, but there is one that's sort of out of the box that I want to share with you. And this is a wood ring. And let's see, I think you can see it there. It's this old man's face. It's very large. I'll put it on so you can see it's extremely large. I love this ring. I got a good price on it. It's in my shop. This, believe it or not, this face was a common theme in the 30s and 40s, even with jewelry that was in the movies. In fact, I've got a few collector's pieces from people like Joseph of Hollywood and others who made vintage jewelry just for the movies that were not, they did not have precious stones in them. And this face was a common theme in bracelets and necklaces. Not necessarily in wood, and people absolutely, women loved them. They wore these big, huge pieces of jewelry with men's faces on them. So this is a ring I just had to pick up. I'm not actually confident about the era. I will tell you, as my sister says, I don't know everything, but I know what I know. And I'll always be honest with you. And this I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure it's the 40s or 50s. I haven't found anything like it. Very rare piece. I see there's a question coming in.
Yeah, Tanaya asked, how do you decide which vintage pieces you'll purchase and use for your jewelry?
Oh, nice. Okay, so I have a question from a viewer. How do I decide which pieces of vintage jewelry that I buy for the pieces that